Before I get into today's video, remember to follow me on Twitter. So my Twitter, the link is in the description below. You can also find me. My handle is @JacksonKruger. Come over, say hi. And anyways, back to your regularly scheduled video. All right, let's talk Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers because they've been playing good football these past couple of weeks. I'm mainly going to talk about what they did against the Jaguars this past week, which, listen, you could sit here and say, it's just Jacksonville, who cares? But I think there is takeaways to learn from this. And really, you know, there was the should Kyle Shanahan be fired conversation that was happening, and winning is going to make that a more difficult conversation to have. But part of it, and part of what I want to talk about, is the scheme is clearly working, and so that's the main thing. Is you can't really complain about a head coach when they're an offensive-minded head coach and their scheme on offense is working. So let's get into the film study and talk about what's going well for San Francisco. So let's start things off with stuff like this. This is, you know, it's not the most creative stuff you'll ever see, but this is kind of staples of the Shanahan offense that's just working better now. Is it because they're healthy again? Is it because they're executing it better, even the guys that were healthy? Is it because they're playing the Jaguars? I'll let you be the judge, but here's how this play works. It's a quarters coverage concept for Jacksonville, and what you do is you have your receiver who's lined up to your right going to just run a deep route over the middle, which could probably push the safety back for sure, maybe the cornerback as well. He might not get pushed as far back, but he could at least to some degree. Honestly, these plays do typically work better against cover 3, which maybe that's something you throw in there, is that's partially why for San Francisco they haven't had as much success, is they're kind of designed to beat cover 3, and teams have been playing a lot more cover 2 and cover 4 this season than we have in past season. I don't know, just speculation. I don't know if that's true or not, just something I thought of right now. But what's going to happen on this play is then you have Brandon Ayuk, who's lined up to your offense's left, who's going to just kind of run underneath, and hopefully he can get open. Look, Garoppolo is going to run a play action, which is also a necessary component of this play, as it draws linebackers sort of in, and it makes it more difficult for them to get back in proper position, because now you see Ayuk, he is wide open. So this stuff is just working, and it's getting schemed open. Receivers are doing their part, you know, everything's working fine, offensive line, all that fun stuff. But this is definitely a schemed open play. Garoppolo makes this play, good defensive play by the corner to try and get into it, but he just couldn't really do much. Probably should have just would have been better off just making the tackle there, but I get the logic behind it. But still, really good stuff from Shanahan. This is why these Shanahan offense can be so successful, and why it probably was a bit premature to be calling for his head after, you know, a couple bad games. We also have something like this. I mean, this was fun, right? How about a Deebo Samuel rush? It makes sense. I mean, you have a good athlete. I kind of think that this is what they were hoping they could do with Jalen Hurd, who, you know, that just hasn't worked out largely due to injuries more than anything. But Deebo Samuel, who they got in that same draft just one round earlier, who he can certainly do it as well, and maybe even better, as in better than they expected Hurd to do it. What's going to happen on this play is it's just going to be a run to the left, and you really just watch what happens. So Samuel is going to eventually take the handoff right here, and you see there is a gap for him to run through, but there are a couple of Jaguars players who can potentially get over and make the play. Typically, the one who's basically forcing Samuel to run closer to the middle of the field by staying to the outside. So Samuel has to kind of run through the gap you see right in front of him. You also have another safety who's deep. There's someone who's going to try and block him, but he can try and get off it. But Samuel's just faster. Look, he's just going to accelerate by everybody. So when people say you can plug in anyone into the Shanahan running scheme and they'll have success, well, we've seen this season that's not exactly true. But how about Deebo Samuel, literally not even a running back, getting plugged in and still having success? I just think it's fun. It's just one of those fun things. How much does it matter? I don't know. Is it fun? Absolutely. That's kind of how I view it. And also, we have to talk about something like this. I don't think it can be understated how much getting Kittle back really helps this offense. I think Kittle is their number one option. He really is. And he takes on those number one option type stuff in the end zone, in these goal line situations. You're going to see his route right here. It's against this quarters coverage defense in the red zone inside the 10, and he's going to end up drawing a double team here. With his route, you could just leave a corner on him, but they want to give him extra attention, so the safety is also going to come over in that direction. So then you can send Brandon Ayuk kind of further deep, a little bit behind it, and he can try to get to where the safety would be, who's going to be running towards Kittle, and get him open that way. Watch. So Garoppolo takes the snap, and you do see, I mean, a couple things. Ayuk is open, and Kittle does draw to double team. So use that to your advantage. That's just smart football. As you see, you're going to see Ayuk. He does make the catch, get into the end zone, scores the touchdown. So good stuff by the 49ers. And again, it's just getting healthier. That's a big aspect. Getting Kittle back is part of why this offense looks better than it has in other weeks. And you also have some small things like this. One of the things I've always talked about with Shanahan, I've covered his game extensively. I did a project, I believe it was maybe last offseason. I think actually might have been the offseason before, was basically, like an hour-long film study for 6 straight days, just covering his whole career. Unfortunately, most of those have been copyright claimed by now, and to the point where they're not even on the channel anymore, which sucks. But one of the things I really learned was you saw a ton of players kind of having freedom to be a bit creative at times and to kind of, just be smart players. And that's what you're going to see right here. So this is going to be a cover 1 man blitz that the Jaguars are in, and Trey Sermon is the halfback. And so what the edge rusher is doing here is he is in charge of covering Sermon on this play, which means that, basically, if Sermon is blocking, then he just rushes the passer. But if he's not, you have to cover him. At least I believe that's what's happening, because he's going to be eventually the guy who picks Sermon up. But watch how Sermon is going to fake this. Look, right when this play begins, you see Sermon kind of faking as though he could be chipping him, which would mean you block a little bit and then run your route, or just blocking altogether. He's making it seem like that's something he could do, and basically just having these, these halfbacks kind of pick this up and do this constantly, have them block, but then have them all of a sudden run a route. It can fool players. So again, is it the linebacker who's supposed to pick up Sermon? Is it the edge rusher? I just don't know. I'm not in the defensive, huddle. I can't say for sure. But regardless, neither one does, and you're going to see that Garoppolo is able to hit him, and they're able to pick up a big chunk play right there. So it's just little small things like that. The little subtlety of kind of shifting a little bit further in than you typically would on a route like that makes it believe that potentially you could be blocking when you're not, and allowing stuff to get open. Now listen, as a whole, it's been up and down, right? The 49ers are currently 14th in offensive points per drive, so they have some work to do to get that a little bit higher, but that's not horrible either, and especially when you factor in the injuries they've had, you could argue they've overperformed so far, just again, given the injuries and everything like that. So as long as you're on the upswing, and as players start to get healthier, it's kind of the thing where, okay, that's great. You maybe weren't spectacular right away, but you're getting hot at maybe not the perfect time, because there's still a good amount of season left. But you're getting hot at a better time than it is to be hot early on in the season. So we'll see if it continues. That's what I think about San Francisco. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. What are your thoughts on Kyle Shanahan, on this offense as a whole? Am I just overreacting to a win against the Jaguars? Let me know. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.